everybody. Welcome to the Oldish. What would you do if your costs tripled over the next 20 years? Do you have a plan? My name's Karen Brown. I'm the publisher and editor of the Oldish, and today I'm on a bit of a rant. There was an article that we published just the other day, which I will show to you. It is right here. Long-term care costs to triple over the next 30 years. So here is the issue. The global population is aging, and the baby boomer generation is increasing in numbers. We know that. We absolutely know that. The Globe and Mail reported on an article that was written by the National Institute on Aging at Ryerson University. So this is a really well-known organization that publishes material that you can count on. And there is to be, over the next 30 years, an increase from 22 billion to 71 billion. That's billion with a B in long-term care costs. Now, here's the thing that really gets to me, and that is the fact that long-term care beds are not available in the numbers that we need. We know that. That has been reported on widely. And pick a country. Canada is not unique in this. So if you're watching us from the States, from the UK, from Australia, from anywhere, you are facing the identical situation. There aren't going to be enough long-term care beds. Those that are available will cost 2 or 3 times as much as they do now when it comes to a point where you need it. And guess who's picking up the slack? Family members, close friends. They're going to be your caregivers. The article says that too. Let's go back and take a look at that. Caregivers must cut back or give up their paying jobs to take care of elderly loved ones, but emotionally the costs are huge as well. Caregiving, especially for older adults with dementia, can be extremely stressful and isolating. Family caregivers may find they have very little time for self-care. Many adults can expect to live into their 80s or 90s. With advancing age, many seniors will have complex health care needs. There will also be a shortage of long-term health care workers, which compounds the problem. And it says right down here in the last paragraph, older adults need to start now for preparing their own future caregiving needs. Are you doing that? We've talked about this here before. And you know, so many times I'm out on a speaking engagement or just casually talking in a social setting with people of my own age, and they're not planning. They think in their heads they're 30 years old and none of this is going to happen to them. Or they're going to let fate have its way. Are you prepared to do that? Are you really prepared to let fate have its way? You know, let's just say even if you get a long-term care bed or room in a retirement community, let's say it's you and your partner and you have a room in long-term care and the costs are 10, 20 times as much. Let's not even extend it to the 30 years. Let's just say 20 times. If the costs are 20 times as much for you by the time you need it, 10 or 15 years down the road, will you be able to bear that cost? And before you so blithely go and say, sure, I got it covered, my pension and my this and my that, take a look at the two of you as a couple. Consider what your expenditures are as a couple against your revenue, and then consider that one of you passes away. Would the one left behind still have the financial resources to stay in that long-term care home? For many people, the answer is no, because the person who passes away first, chances are it's going to be the male. I mean, statistically and demographically, that's just the way it is. The male is going to pass away first. The male, chances are, looking at the generation that we're talking about, was the higher income earner, which means that when he passes away, his partner or wife will have to make do with a reduced pension. Because when he dies, the pension isn't going to stay the same. And maybe she doesn't have a pension. Maybe she didn't work. Maybe she did, and you worked out your expenses based on both incomes providing two pensions. But take away the one. Figure out your costs again in a reduced pension situation. Are you still going to be able to afford it? A lot of people can't. For a lot of people, this is where the rubber meets the road. And the partner who is left behind has to find a new place to be. That's just the way it is. So, this is such a hard discussion for people to have because they just don't believe it's ever going to happen to them. They think that they're too young. They think that their bases are covered somehow with some sort of loosey-goosey planning. Oh, they'll just sell their house and that will fund their retirement. Don't count on that. You have to have a plan A, a plan B, and even a plan C in this environment. Now, I'm not perfect in my planning, but I am walking the talk. I have sold my house and I'm in the process of moving as I record this. Let me tell you, moving after you've lived in a place for 25 years ain't no picnic, but it's getting done. And I am downsizing. I'm moving to an apartment where the space is better suited to what I need at my age, where I've gone through my possessions and I'm still getting rid of stuff. The local hospital rummage sale is coming up. My children were here for Thanksgiving weekend. They took a bunch of stuff that they wanted. It's all planning. There is still stuff left to sort through. And I'll be doing that over the next couple of weeks. And in a couple of weeks' time, when I come to you, I will be completely moved. That's fantastic for me. It still doesn't address what happens if I become incapacitated. I'm working on it, one step at a time. And that's all I'm asking of you. One step at a time. When I sold my house, it was a seller's market. That was only a few weeks ago. The bubble is starting to stretch a little and potentially burst. I know that I did not have competition when I sold my house, but now I would. If I put my house up for sale at the same price, I would have competition. So, the point of all of this sharing of my situation is that you can't count on it. You can't count on your house being your saving grace in terms of your investments. You can't count on long-term care. I'm not sure if you can count on your family to be caregivers. I know that if I were looking at my children to be caregivers, that would not be fair to them. That would not be practical or reasonable for them, where they are in their careers, where they are in terms of their own family desires. That just wouldn't be fair. 10, 15 years down the road, still not fair. They're around the age of 30 right now. 15 years down the road, they're going to be in their mid-40s. Think of where people are in their mid-40s in their careers. Can I ask them to give that up to take care of me because I didn't plan? I don't think so. Maybe you could. I couldn't. I don't think that's fair, and I don't think it's fair to leave the burden to them either. So let's all make a resolution. I know it's not New Year's yet, but let's all make a resolution to do some planning, to think about how we're going to manage, given that long-term care costs are going to triple over the next 30 years. That doesn't happen just when they hit the 30-year mark, people. That's a gradual increase. So by the time you're ready to retire, again, I will say, the costs absolutely will have increased. 10%, 15%, 20%, 25% by the time you're ready to take this on. Are you prepared? Give it some thought. Talk to your partner, talk to your family, and see what needs to be done. Explore the what ifs and start nailing down that planning. Believe me, it's for your own good. It's for the good of your family, because whether you like it or not, it involves everybody in your family. It is, in fact, a family problem. As we say so often at the end of this show, it takes a village to age a senior. It will take a village to get every one of us through our retirement to our ultimate passing. It doesn't happen without people. It doesn't happen without financial resources. And it's so much better if it happens with planning. Thank you for joining us this week. And as I have just said, and as I always say, it does take a village to age a senior.